It is Friday, and we're very happy about that. I want to tell you about a new study that has come out. Before you put your makeup on this morning, you probably should listen to the latest news in the world of cosmetics. Researchers at the University of California at Berkeley found that 32 commonly used lipsticks and lip glosses contain potentially toxic levels of metals. To explain their findings and what consumers should do, Professor Catherine Hammond is joining us via Skype from El Cerrito, California. She is the co-author of the study. Dr. Hammond, thank you so much for being here with us. We do appreciate it. Let's just go through quickly. What did your study find? That there was metals in these lipsticks and lip glosses, but what does that mean?
Well, heavy metals are sometimes toxic, and many of them, in fact, are toxic. People are probably aware of lead being something you want to worry about. And a few years ago, there was a report that there was lead in lipstick, and that raised a lot of concerns. So we actually decided to look at some other heavy metals as well and see whether the levels were enough to raise some concern. And after we measured the concentration in these 32 products, we then looked and tried to compare that to the standards that were out there, the public health guidelines that might give us some sense of whether this really does present a public health concern. And in fact, what we did find is that with heavy use, the levels of some of the metals do rise to the level of concern that I think attention needs to be paid.
Were there any changes that you're seeing? Women have been wearing lipstick for years. Is there something new in the products now?
Not that I know of. I don't think so.
And in terms of the level of these metals, I mean, all of these metals are really found in our environment as well. How much do you know about the toxicity of them in the cosmetics?
Well, the toxicity has been measured in food, and it's been measured in cigarette smoke and other materials. Yes, it's true. All these metals are natural. They occur in the earth. But many of the things that occur naturally actually are toxic. As an example, again, we do know that about lead. So the fact that it's natural doesn't mean that it's okay. What we can say is the dose makes the poison. So it depends on how much you're exposed to. That's why we compared it to some public health guidelines, because the levels actually do rise to the level that at least we need to pay attention and be a little bit concerned.
Who are the big offenders? Does it matter if you pay for your lipstick at the drugstore or at the department store?
We looked at products both from drugstores and from department stores, and we saw no difference by the product name, by the color, and so we can't really say. There are, as you probably know, hundreds of different lipsticks and lip glosses, and so we can't say what the entire universe of products contain. And that's something for a larger study that, for instance, the Food and Drug Administration ought to be looking at.
Professor, obviously this kind of study is going to raise alarm amongst consumers. Some of them might even stop using lipstick. How much concern should there really be?
I think at this point in time, there should be enough concern to really request that our government do some more studies to look into this more thoroughly. I personally think that it's very important to perhaps minimize exposures to children because we know that they are more vulnerable, and perhaps rethink for heavy users how much they use. We were finding that in general, at the average use of 2 or 3 applications a day, we did not see the levels in general to be a concern. A few of them rise a little bit, and again, we need to look at this more thoroughly than we were able to do.
And you did say that you looked at colors as a factor. Did you find varying levels depending on the hue, the color of the lipstick?
No, we did not.
And what is the FDA's reaction to this study? Have you received any response?
I've not heard from them. I've heard no response.
What do you hope their reaction will be, Dr. Hammond?
My hope would be that they would undertake to do an examination of the products, and if their results are similar to ours, that they would consider regulation and setting upper limits on the content of metals in the lipsticks themselves.
Do you want the regulation to be in terms of the formulation that manufacturers use to make the lipstick, or in terms of whether or not the lipstick is available at all
And the formulation.
in accordance to the
Most of us
formulation?
got pretty used to lipstick as a part of life.
Oh, absolutely. And you just mentioned that, the average person applies two times a day. I mean, I do that within the, 10 minutes anytime during the program. So I think women do it a whole lot. You mentioned, of course, that there's no acceptable level of lead for children. And a lot of young girls play in their mother's makeup. And of course, we have a very big culture of pageants in this country where these girls get made up in full-blown makeup. What's your recommendation for mothers who have children that want to wear this lipstick? And is there an age cutoff?
Well, I would recommend that mothers rethink that and at least limit how much lipstick their children use. I think that's really the point. Certainly, children under 2 are the most vulnerable, but children in general still are vulnerable. So I would just be concerned that there's really not a need for that exposure in addition to other exposures we have in our lives.
All right. Dr. Catherine Hammond, thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Good day.